Would you rather shock yourself with electricity or sit entirely alone in silence? Well, we have the terrifying data on what most people actually choose. And the answer might surprise you. Welcome to a special investigative report from the Human Error News Network. We are the Explainer series, where we detect, prevent, and correct the ultimate glitches in our own human programming. Listen, if you've ever felt completely out of control of your screen time, you're going to want to hit subscribe right now to join our network of error analysts, because today we're diagnosing the digital flinch. So let's dive into the bizarre reality behind that question I just asked. In a really famous psychological study, participants were left in an empty room for exactly 15 minutes. No phones, no books, nothing to do except sit with their own thoughts. And the result? A shocking number of them, pun intended, actually chose to administer mild electric shocks to themselves, rather than just endure the silence. They actively chose physical pain over being present with their own unaccompanied minds. This cognitive dissonance is kind of our ultimate human error. Deep down, we're absolutely terrified of our own interior. Now, this perfectly illustrates a dynamic that was identified way before smartphones ever existed. Carl Jung famously hit the nail on the head when he wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." For the mental health professionals and clinicians digging into this report with us, we really need to elevate our understanding of this issue. Mindless scrolling, it isn't just a bad habit. It's definitely not a productivity problem you can solve with some quick time management hack. No, it's a profound psychological escape from existential aloneness. We are literally using these glass rectangles to flee the weight of our own consciousness. All right, let's look at Section 1, Anatomy of an Error. And hey, if you or your patients are struggling with this, I want you to know you're not alone. This is not a moral failure, and it's certainly not a lack of willpower. It's a systemic, highly engineered vulnerability that every single one of us shares. The actual clinical term for this behavior is experiential avoidance. Psychologists define it as the tendency to escape uncomfortable internal states through external behavior. Think about it. When we experience this vague, preconscious unease, a mild restlessness, a sudden drop in mood, or just that quiet anxiety of being a person in the modern world, we instinctively reach for relief. And the social media feed is simply the most frictionless tool ever designed to exploit our lack of distress tolerance. It offers an immediate, effortless exit door from whatever it is we're feeling. To truly wrap our heads around the gravity of this, we've got to look at the hard clinical data. A comprehensive review published recently in the International Journal of Indian Psychology mapped out the exact toll this endless flicking takes on our psychosocial and physical well-being. And guys, this isn't just theory. We actually have voxel-based morphometry, which is structural MRI scans, showing exactly what happens to a brain that relies on the feed for emotional regulation. The data is clear, and frankly, it's pretty startling. So, fellow error analysts, this brings us to Section 2, Diagnosing Experiential Avoidance. How do we actually spot this in clinical practice? Well, if we're going to correct the error, we have to diagnose it accurately. The really crucial point here is distinguishing between someone who just uses their phone a lot and someone locked in a clinical compulsion. Heavy usage might look like purposefully sitting down to watch videos or chat with friends, but clinical compulsion, that is defined by absent-mindedness. It's that automatic, reflexive, zombie-like reach for the phone during a micro moment of boredom. That IJIP study highlights that people who use scrolling to escape problems do so in an absent-minded way that actually correlates with higher anxiety levels. So the very behavior intended to relieve the anxiety becomes the exact thing exacerbating it, trapping the user in this perpetual feedback loop of digital fatigue. By the way, if you're finding this diagnostic breakdown helpful, make sure you're subscribed to our network so we can keep couching these errors together. Let's break down the deliberate choice architecture of human-computer interaction, or HCI, that actually traps us here. Infinite scrolling removes all natural stopping cues, completely exploiting our brain's difficulty in recognizing completion. Then you have the variable reward system, right? The unpredictable nature of what the very next swipe will reveal provides this slow drip of dopamine. And that exhausts our motivation for complex tasks and just decimates our attention span. Over time, MRIs of addictive users literally show structural alterations. We're talking reduced gray matter volume in the bilateral amygdala due to neural pruning and lowered neural sensitivity to anticipation. The interface is quietly rewiring the brain's physical structure to prioritize short-term, instant gratification. Now, if you're conducting an intake session, here is a clear protocol to evaluate a patient's distress tolerance. Step 1. Help them identify that preconscious unease. Ask them, what does their body actually feel like right before they grab the phone? Step 2. Note the automaticity. Are they making a conscious choice, or are they just a passenger to their own habit? And step 3, assess their physiological response to the absence of stimuli. When the phone is taken away, do they just feel a little bored, or does their nervous system treat the silence as an active threat? That tells you exactly what you're dealing with. Okay, now that we've diagnosed the human error, we're moving to section 3, prescribing solitary presence. We have to move way beyond just telling people to put the phone down. We know that doesn't work. We need real therapeutic interventions. Behavior change experts note that we need approach-focused goals, not just avoidance. You can't just leave a vacuum. You have to replace the behavior. So here are 3 highly effective offline activities to disrupt that automatic reach during downtime. First, designate physical scroll-free zones, like simply leaving your phone in another room when you take a bath. Second, engage in analog hobbies that distract the anxious mind in a similar way. Think coloring or doing puzzles. Third, swap the smartphone for a physical Kindle device. The physical act of tapping pages simulates the satisfying tactile feedback of scrolling, but completely without the algorithm exploiting your amygdala. But here's the secret. The real goal of these activities isn't just about staying busy. It's about retraining the nervous system. You see, when you repetitively avoid a feeling, your body learns that the feeling is inherently dangerous. By engaging in simple, low-stakes analog activities, you create a safe container for the patient. You allow them to experience mild boredom without catastrophizing it. You're slowly proving to their nervous system that stillness is safe, building up their distress tolerance one tiny moment at a time. British psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott once stated, "The capacity to be alone is one of the most important signs of emotional maturity." And that's exactly it. The treatment plan for experiential avoidance isn't screen reduction just for the sake of screen reduction. It's about fostering the emotional maturity to be alone in the presence of oneself without requiring external props to make your own company bearable. Which brings us to our final phase, Section 4, Enduring the Void. This is where I turn directly to you. The next time you feel that vague unease, that slight drop in mood, I want you to catch it before your hand even moves to your pocket. Because if we don't catch this error, the stakes are terrifyingly high. Independent research highlighted in that IJIP review found that passive social media use, that endless hollow scrolling, is positively associated with depressive symptoms. In fact, joint analysis revealed that passive use caused a massive 44% rise in depressive symptoms. We are using a tool for relief that is actively hollowing us out. You see, you're reaching for the phone because something inside you doesn't want to be where you currently are. And acknowledging that means acknowledging what you are fleeing from. So, I'm going to leave you with this final, vital question to ask yourself the very next time your thumb reaches for that glass screen. If the scroll is a flight from your interior, what exactly is your screen protecting you from? Keep analyzing the error.